Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 66 or 67 of the This Old Knit podcast. I am your host, Nina, otherwise known as Ine on Ravelry, Instagram, and Pinterest. It's probably going to be a pretty quick podcast, but it's been a couple weeks, so I wanted to record before things became a little bit too crazy, and I'm looking over and I actually realized I need to grab something from over there. I'll just share that next time. No big deal. So I have been working just a little bit on a variety of different things. I only have a few finished objects to show you this week, and the rest are all whips. I think maybe there's one new whip. Yeah, there's one new one that I haven't shown before. And for the Stashmas Cowl, which wrapped up at the end of the year, I drew the winners and actually announced them in a separate segment. So I think all but one person has contacted me. So if you entered in anything into the Stashmas Cowl and you have not checked out that video, it's only 2 minutes long. So just go watch it, and if you won, please contact me to claim your prize. Precariously balanced up against my tabletop Swift. So it's a little bit of a weird angle, but like I said, it was very impromptu. The objects I finished for this week are all washcloths. So I did this one out of the Collage Riveting. They're all the Grandma's Favorite Washcloth pattern. This one out of Lily Sugar and Cream. And this one out of also Lily Sugar and Cream. So like I said, my goal for this year is to do at least one washcloth a month. Obviously I've done a lot better than that for January. But I would like to knit out all of my dishcloth cotton for my stash this year. And then the whips. So the first whip I have is actually a new cast on. So it was my birthday on Saturday, so I did a birthday cast on of the Coastline Shawl. And this designer actually had a deal where you could buy two, get one half off or free. I don't remember. So I got 3 of her patterns. I got Seagrass, Spotlight, and Coastline. And I have yarn and plans for all of them. But this one I cast on with my Wool & Vine Yarns Nouveau base in Myth and Fig Bash. So Fig Bash was originally a club colorway in the Edward Gorey Details Yarn Club. She has since released this, so you can get your own. And then Myth is just a color she generally carries. It's very light blue, but my lighting is crap tonight, so I apologize for the bad lighting. So I don't have a ton done because my birthday was actually kind of crazy. The children have been very, very naughty the last several days. And today is apparently no exception. Anyway, they've been very, very naughty. So I didn't get a whole lot done on it, but I got far enough that I did the first garter stitch section, and I got to the first set of lace. So it's a feather and fan shawl, and it's, like I said, it's a crescent shaped shawl. So I finished this first part, and then I'm on this lace part now. So I'm doing the garter parts in Fig Bash and the lace in Myth. So here's what I've got so far. I really like it. I love how it's knitting up. I made a mistake on it, so I actually had to rip back almost to the beginning. Not because the pattern was hard, but because the children were being very distracting and naughty. But it was fine. It knits up so fast. So I probably only worked on this for about 2 hours maybe total. Yeah, so it's a good little beginning. It's going to be a fun shawl. No hurry on that or anything, but just a fun birthday cast on for me. I like to cast something on my birthday every year. so that's that. And now I can put the pattern in the bag because I didn't have it in the bag. And it's in my bag I showed last time from Annie Knitter. Ah, I knew I was going to do that. Because one of the blades of my Swift is over there. I will not put my things there. Okay, the next thing I worked on is actually a pretty long-standing whip. So one of our friends had their first child in the summer. And so I started a blanket for them. And then I was knitting a bunch of stuff for the Doctor Who pal. Good grief, they're screaming so loud. And I think I just kind of burnt myself out on knitting blue things. So I put this aside for a little while, which is fine. Like the baby is, he's 6 months old now, and that's kind of a good age for having blankies anyway. And it was the summer, so now it's the winter. So I was like, I better move on and get him his blanket. So it's getting much bigger. And again, it's feather and fan. So apparently I'm in a feather and fan mode. I'm using size 7 needles, and the pattern is a free pattern from the More Than One Way to Knit a Hat blog, and it's called the Rippled Baby Blanket. So it looks like that. So she actually did hers in 2 colors, but I'm just working mine in one that's a variegated yarn. So the yarn I'm using is Crystal Palace Yarns Bunny Hop. It is actually created in Richmond, California. It's hand wash or machine wash, gentle cycle. It machine washes fine. And it is 50% microacrylic, 42% micro nylon, and 8% rabbit angora. So it does have a teeny bit of a halo, but it's just very soft and squishy. I made one for one of Josh's cousins, and she wore it to shreds. I made one for our children, and they could have cared less about it. So, who knows? But I'm going to try and make it nice and big, because I have, let's see, I have one more skein besides these 2 skeins. This is 1 skein. I just joined the 2nd skein, so I have 4 total. So it should be a nice sized crib blanket. So I'm just kind of picking that up as I have time. It does hurt my hands a little bit because it's knit at kind of a tight gauge. So I can only work on it for short periods of time before I have to set it aside, but it's fine. I'm squeezing the air out of it. I just have it in my oh so fancy plastic bag because I stole its project bag for something else. It really should have a project bag again. And then in my brand new bag, this was an acquisition from Pandia's Jewels. It is the Rainbow Llamacorn bag. It has rainbow knitting llamacorns. It's so awesome. So awesome. And housed in it, oh, and I have this fun little unicorn progress keeper as its zipper pull. I got this on a skein of yarn from Kristen, but it had to live on my Rainbow Llamacorn bag. Inside of it is the Gibbum, aka the glittery blanket of unicorns and magic. And this guy has been getting some love. So this is the 10-stitch blanket by Frankie Brown. Knit in figuring weight yarn, all either leftovers from projects or minis that I've bought or received in swaps, but they are all sparkle yarns. So I'm going to make it all out of sparkle yarn. So I actually put a marker on when I showed it last time. So it is this little coffee mug marker that I got from Jessica in a surprise package. I love this little coffee cup. It's so cute. So I just knit this part, and then I'm letting Megwin choose what next color is going to be on the blanket. So she chose this red, which is from my Gilmore Girls Season 2 mini skein set from the Yarn at Home Mom. This one's actually also a Gilmore Girls mini. And then the next one she chose to come after that one is, that's where my chapstick is. Ha 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 ha. Let's see, this one's not coming directly after. It's a pink one with speckles. This one. So she wants me to do, actually, maybe it is that one, and then this one. I think that's right. It might be the other way around. I'm gonna have to check with her now. I think it's that one, which is another Yarn at Home Mom, and then this one, which is No Makers. I think this one's Ninja Cupcake. So I'm knitting that on 2.75 millimeter needles, and because I have this bigger bag now, I can have all of my sparkle minis in it, which is nice to have them all in one place, so I can keep track. I really want to knit on this. I might knit on it some tonight. But look, oh, it's so fun. I love it. Because as I've said many times, secretly inside, I am like a 7-year-old girl who loves glitters, or who loves glitter, unicorns, rainbows, and all of those sorts of things. So this project is my happy place. And then in my fall bag, which I'm actually gonna stitch up, I think, a couple Valentine's bags, or just springy bags. This is one of them I'm gonna do. I'm gonna see how big of a bag I can get, if it can be like a 20-inch bag. So see, it has little pink hedgehogs and squirrels and mice and hummingbirds. It's so cute. So I'm going to make that into a larger project bag, a sweater size bag. And then I need to make some smaller ones like this for changing my seasons out. But for those of you who remember this guy from last year, I've now knit most of the mate. I kind of got it into my head that I wanted to clear some sock needles so I could start fresh. So I've turned the heel, and I'm just knitting on the foot now. So I probably could actually finish this tonight if I worked on it. So I might actually do that, because then this one does not count for the Box of Socks Cal that Kristen's running in her Yarngasm podcast group, because it's only new cast-ons, but I will have another set of sock needles free so I can cast on some more socks. And I was also talking to my friends about making this the year of Felici for me, so casting on, just always having a pair of Felici socks on the needles. I'm losing my voice anyway because I have a little bit of a cold. Okay, just 2 more. The next one is basically me giving into the internet craze that is the Mercury socks. And for those who don't know, it is a free pattern on Ravelry by Kim Drotar, I think. No, Kim McKenzie. Mercury Socks by Kim McKenzie. I'm also using Stash Yarn for this, so Hedgehog Fibers in Teacup. And then Here's what I have so far. This is a really pretty lace pattern. It's going very quickly. I love it. And these will count for the box of socks gal. So I'm excited about that. And then last, let me go get it. Let me resituate here really quickly. And then last but not least is my honey pullover. And if you'll all recall, I'm co-hosting a cow for the honey pullover with Kristen from Yarngasm podcast. You can do the honey or the little honey. So the adult or the children's version of the sweater. And I actually will show you something on this too. So let me pull it a little bit on my needles here before I do that. So here's where I am. I think that's the front. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't have short row shaping in the back or anything, so the front and the back are pretty much the same. It has a very similar neckline to this guy that I have on right now. It's kind of a higher neck. So before I separated for the sleeves, which I've fully separated for the sleeves and everything, and I've actually tried it on and it does fit very nicely despite looking teeny tiny because I have it on one circular, so the circumference is actually pretty small right now. I wasn't sure how my row gauge was going to work out, and on my swatch my row gauge was actually a little bit off, but my stitch gauge was right. So if you're knitting a garment for yourself, the stitch gauge is more important really than the row gauge. You can adjust for the row gauge by just knitting additional rows. Is that you, Megwin?
Hi, Mom. I got my dinner.
Hi. Oh, good. I'm almost done, and then I'll go down and get my dinner.
Mac and cheese.
Okay, don't bump that because my camera's there. So you can adjust for row gauge a little bit more easily than stitch gauge because you can just knit more rows or do more increases.
Hi.
And so
Hello.
I'm glad you're out of your bath because I had to keep stopping for all the screams. You guys were crazy. Okay, I'm trying to explain about my sweater knitting, so don't be too distracting, okay? Can you go eat your dinner? You can go over there and eat. Just make sure you're staying off camera. People need to see you eating.
Bye.
Thank you, sweetie. So my row gauge was a little bit off, so what I wanted to do was make sure before I separated for the sleeves that I had done long enough so my armhole would not be too tight. So what I did is I put it onto a longer cable from my interchangeable needle set. I think I used a 60-inch cable, and then I blocked it on the cable. And I just laid it on my vent to dry, and then the next morning I tried it on, and I realized I had to knit some more straight rows. So I did all my increases, and then I just knit, I think, 8 more straight rows, and then I separated for the sleeves. And I tried it on again, and it fits great. So, the top part is actually blocked. So that's kind of what it's going to look like. And it's really fun, too, to see the stitches really relax and look nice. So I am knitting this out of Wool and Vine Yarns. The green color is Venus Flytrap, and then the multicolor is I Will Always Find You in the Volca base. The green is in the Blitzed base, which is her sparkle base. Because I got the club colorway and I bought a skein from a friend and then I had a skein, they're pretty different, so I'm just alternating stripes. I'm not always doing that perfectly because sometimes I forgot which one I was working from, but I don't think you can even tell. It looks really cool. I'm very much enjoying it. So yeah, I knit mine on a size 5 US needle. I knit the ribbing on a size 3. And then some people in the group that are knitting along talked about the beginning of round having a weird jog or gap, and then also talked about on the stripes having a weird gap. So I wanted to show you guys what I do so I don't get that. And I've knit the Little Honey for my daughter. So I have some practice in it. So if you look at my raglan shaping, this is the one where I'm changing colors because there's all my ends. So that's my beginning of round. If you look closely, you can see a couple of the stitches look just a little bit irregular, but it's not too bad. And honestly, when it's on, you can't even tell. So what I do is I twist the other yarns that I'm not using every round. Now, because I'm using 3 balls of yarn on this sweater at any given time, there's always 2 strands that I am not using. And it's almost like catching a float for Fair Isle when you bring it forward and then bring it back. It's almost like that because I'm just bringing it up and over the other stitches. The thing you have to be careful of is that you need to just give it a little tug this way after you do it, because otherwise you're going to end up with this one raglan being extremely rigid, and then the one where you're not doing it, which this is the one where I did not carry anything up, will be very stretchy, and your sweater just won't lay right. But as long as you do that little tug, I've found that's enough to keep that elasticity, and it'll feel slightly tighter, but it won't impact the wear. So now, the big reveal, the inside. So when you do that nice little twist, you will get a little column of twisted stitches. You see that right there? It's probably hard to see because of the light behind it and the crappy light. But see how it's just like almost a little braid? And that just continues all the way down. And that's pretty much all I do. And then it's fine. So I'm always going to twist the 2 colors I'm not using. Give it that nice little tug. And here's the part that's on the actual body. So I've knit that much below where I separated for the sleeves. I'm going to knit straight for a little bit longer. I think the pattern calls for knitting 2 inches and then doing some waist decreases, but I'm going to do more because I have a larger bust. So it will accommodate that. And then I'm also going to knit it longer than the pattern calls for because I like my sweaters to hit a little bit lower on my hip. So that is that. That is my honey pullover. Hopefully that made sense for all of you who are struggling with that. And if you have any questions or have issues at all, please feel free to post them in either my thread or in Kristen's thread or in both. And somebody will answer and help you out. And like I said, this is my first time knitting the adult version, but it's basically the kids version with waist shaping. The kids version doesn't have waist shaping, but otherwise they're exactly the same. That's everything I have to show for this week. Oh, wait. So just really quickly, I mentioned in my video, I'm going to go fast because he's not happy. I mentioned in my video for the winners of the Stashmas Cal that I am going to start up a new cal, and this is for, people who aren't doing the honey pullover. I didn't want you all to feel left out, so I am starting a cal called the Palette Cleanser Cal. So the idea behind this is that we all knit a lot of stuff for Christmas and for gifts, and maybe we need a little break from the holidays and all the crazy, And so I wanted it to be kind of a get back to basics kind of thing. So just knitting very soothing knits. So either something that's very repetitive or something that's vanilla. So if you want to knit a million washcloths, that counts. Garter stitch counts. This blanket would actually be pretty palette cleansering because Feather and Fan is really just very basic. Vanilla socks, really anything. If you can tell me how it is soothing and cleansing to you, then it counts. And if you're doing the honey pullover, it's basically just a body tube, so I consider that to be vanilla as well, because it's just stockinette with like a little bit of shaping right here, and if you do the waist shaping, which you don't even have to do. It's top down, it's very easy, so again, that's a good example of a palette cleanser knit. So I'm going to open up a thread for that, and for that cowl, I'm actually going to run it through the end of March, I think. So right now the honey pullover cowl is ending in the beginning of March. TBD on whether we're going to extend that or not. I just need to talk to Kristen and see what she thinks. But we will do the palette cleanser cowl from right now until the end of March. And if you are interested in donating a prize, please feel free to contact me. I will never turn donations down. Otherwise, I usually do at least, a Ravelry pattern download, and then I try to do either a bag or a skein of yarn or something like that. So I'll come up with something fun for you guys. And last thing, I realized that I am actually almost up to 700 subscribers on the YouTube channel, and I completely forgot to do a 600 subscriber giveaway. So I will also open up a thread for that, and I'll put together just some fun goodies for you guys, and you can enter that. So thank you all for subscribing. I really appreciate it, and I think we're like 8 people away maybe from 700. So if we hit 700, I'll have to do another giveaway. So yeah, I think that's all for right now. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon. Okay, bye-bye.